And 5, 4, 3, 2. This is a picture or a pic of El Salvador prison. Okay, but today we are not going to talk about prisons or prisoners in El Salvador. We are going to talk about Mexico. Okay, Mexico faces a crisis in kidnappings, disappearances, and other criminal violence that had left over 30,000 people dead each year since 2018. Gangs and drug cartels largely penetrate this violence, but the state has also committed human rights violations in its war against these groups. Okay? Civilians. Okay? Civilians. Bear the most significant impact, which drives migrants to the U.S. border. Drugs from the cartel also flow over the border, fueling a drug overdose epidemic in the United States. Again, prisons in El Salvador. But we are talking about Mexico today. Okay? Background. In the 1980s, in the 1980s, Mexico's criminal groups and drug traffickers became organized, assigning distinct regional areas of control for each group and establishing new networks and trafficking routes. However, as production and distribution increased, the groups began fighting for territorial control and access to markets, leading to an increase in violence across Mexico. Well, yes, this is El Salvador prison, not Mexico. The Mexican government officially declared war on criminal organizations in 2006 when former President Felipe Calderón launched an initiative to combat cartels using military force. In 2012, President Enrique Peña Nieto revised the Calderón government's strategy, shifting efforts away. Shifting efforts away from violent exchanges and towards improving law enforcement capacity and supporting public safety. And this is Mexico. Yes, we are not talking about El Salvador and Secot's Bukele prison system. We're talking about Mexico violence. Okay? Let's resume here. Okay. However, after the Sinaloa cartel's Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was arrested in 2014, he After Sinaloa cartel's Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was arrested in 2014, rearrested in 2016, and finally extradited to the United States in 2017, a power vacuum was created within the Sinaloa cartel, resulting in an accompanying increase in violence between rival factions seeking new territory and influence. Okay? By 2016, drug-related homicides had increased by 22%, with more than 20,000 killed. In 2017, a mass grave containing the remains of more than 250 victims of crime-related violence was uncovered in Veracruz state. The violence rapidly intensifies to a peak of 33,345 homicides in 2018, and the murder rate has dropped only slightly since then. Additionally, from 2017 to 2020, a journalist was killed every week on average. Recognizing widespread assertions that the use of military force had only increased the level of crime-related violence in Mexico, and accusations that the military had committed human rights abuses and carried out extrajudicial killings, the president candidate Andrés Manuel López Obrador, popularly known as AMLO, promised on his campaign trail to revolutionize the fight against cartels and revert to a civilian-led police force. As part of his amorphous hugs, not bullets, abrazos y más besos para ellos policy, AMLO suggested poverty alleviation programs, the legalization of marijuana, and new sentencing guidelines for drug traffickers. After winning the election and assuming office in December 2018, AMLO announced the creation of a new National Guard, which is a hybrid civilian police and military force to fight cartels. Then, in 2019, under a deal with the United States, AMLO deployed much of this force to the southern border with Guatemala to stem migration. Spanish. Brasil se suma al plan Bukele. Durante años, muchos gobiernos de América Latina repitieron la misma excusa: no se puede acabar con la delincuencia de un día para otro. Pero la verdad es que no querían hacerlo, porque mientras la gente buena enterraba a sus hijos, ellos pactaban con los criminales o miraban hacia otro lado. Será en El Salvador. Hoy Brasil y El Salvador están demostrando que sí se puede, que cuando un gobierno tiene el valor, el miedo cambia de bando. El plan Bukele ya empezó a cruzar fronteras y Brasil lo acaba de aplicar en 3 pasos tan simples como contundentes. Primero, ir por las cabezas. No por los pobres, ni por los jóvenes confundidos, abrazos no besos, sino por los verdaderos jefes, los que controlan barrios, negocios, armas y vidas en Brasil. Allí 2.500 agentes entraron a las favelas dominadas por el comando Vermelho. Eso fue, creo que fue antier, ¿no? ¿Sí? Y capturaron a su líder, Tiago do Nascimento Méndez. El mensaje fue claro: el Estado ya no tiene miedo. Ok.